In this video, we are going to learn how to plot points on another basic parabola. In the two previous videos, we plotted points. We found the vertex of the parabola, and then we plotted 5 points to the right of the vertex and 5 points to the left of the vertex using a counting pattern and the squaring pattern that is inherent to basic parabolas. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to use Desmos to figure out the vertex of the parabola, which we see here. And this parabola that we're analyzing is y equals negative x squared minus 6x plus 7. Now in this video we can see that it is a downward opening parabola, but the method is almost the same. Right? There is a modification that we'll have to do, but it will be an obvious modification. So our vertex is at the point negative 3, 16. So in this field over here, we're going to put negative 3, 16, and we will plot that point, and there it's labeled negative 3, 16. Okay, so you remove that label for a moment. So we're going to do the same thing that we did previously, which is we're going to copy our vertex. So I select the vertex and then I go Control or Command C, depending on whether I'm using a PC or a Mac. So I copy that vertex and then I do Control or Command V, and I'm going to do that 10 times because we need this point 10 times. So 1, enter, 2, enter, Control V, that's 3, enter, 4, enter, Control V, that's 5, enter, 6, enter, 7, enter, 8, enter, 9, enter, 10, enter. Okay, so we have 10 copies of that. Okay, and then we're going to use the same pattern that we used last time for the x-coordinates. In other words, starting from that vertex point, we're going to start from the vertex point and we're going to move 1 unit to the left and 1 unit to the right. And we do that by, in the points that we copied, we add 1 to the first one and subtract 1 from the second one. And what you'll notice is that points start to appear to the left, to the left and to the right of the vertex of our parabola. So the next one, we're going to add 2 and subtract 2. Whoops. Okay, so adding 2 means that we have made a point that is 2 units to the right of our vertex, and subtracting 2 means that we have made a point that is 2 units to the left of our vertex. So then we're going to add 3 on our next one, and then subtract 3 on the one after that. Then we will add 4, and then subtract 4. Then we will add 5, and subtract 5. And that is all of the points that we're going to need to be able to plot 5 points to the right of the vertex and 5 points to the left of the vertex. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add numbers to the y-coordinate of the vertex. And the numbers that we're going to add are going to be the square of the number that we added to the x-coordinate. But actually, in this case, we're not going to add to the y-coordinate. We're going to subtract from the y-coordinate. And the reason why we're subtracting is because the parabola is opening downward. So this procedure is essentially the same as the one we did in the last video, only this time we're subtracting from the y-coordinate instead of adding to the y-coordinate. So we're going to square the number we added to the x-coordinate. 1 squared is 1, so then we subtract that from the y-coordinate. And what you see is that the point that was just to the right of the vertex, it jumped down to the parabola. And then we're going to also subtract 1 from the next one. And that was the point that was 1 unit to the left of the vertex. So now 2 squared is 4, so now we're going to subtract 4 and then subtract 4. And those points jump onto the parabola. Okay, when we add 3 or subtract 3, 3 squared is 9, so we will subtract 3. Oops, maybe make that subtract 9. and we'll subtract 9 because 3 squared is 9. Now 4 squared is 16, so we're going to subtract 16 and then subtract 16. And finally, when we add 5, 5 squared is 25, so we will subtract 25 and subtract 25. And we get all of those points, the 5 points that are on, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, we got 5 points to the right and then 5 points to the left, and then we can label them by simply checking the label box on Desmos. There we go, and we have all of our points. Now, interestingly, 2 of those points are roots of our equation, okay, because that's the points where they cross the x-axis. So we have a root at -7, 0, and we have another root at 1, 0. Right? What that means is that we could plot this parabola in terms of binomials. We could write them as y equals parentheses, and we can say x plus 7, and then we can say parentheses x minus 1. And then remember to put a minus sign in front. So when we put a minus sign in front, notice how those two parabolas, they line up with one another. Okay, the original parabola was in black, and it was y equals -x squared minus 6x plus 7. The second parabola, which shows this in root form, is in blue. If I shut that off for a moment, you see that the parabola turns back to black again. So that means that those two parabolas are exactly the same parabola. All right, well, I hope you find this helpful. In the next video, we're going to learn how to plot non-basic parabolas.